Today is Sunday, May 17th, 2020, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. For the last 2 weeks, we have been focusing on the tricky high-wire act of emerging from the lockdowns and stay-home routines we've been enduring, and we remain at that intersection this morning. In fact, all of us are pretty much going to take up residence in that uncomfortable space for the foreseeable future. I can remember more than a month ago wondering, what would life look like on the other side of the curve? Today, I am still wondering. Different states are trying different approaches, and some will be tempted to copy their success or run from their mistakes, but that leaves us wondering if one size fits all, or will each state have a singular experience with reopening just as they have had with the disease itself. This morning, we're going to dig into a couple of the trickier turns to navigate. A little later, we're going to be joined by several small business owners. How eager are they to get back open? And what will they do to create retail spaces that customers will be eager to frequent? Are we moving too slowly or too quickly for them? But up first, you've heard a lot about contact tracing being a critical ingredient of moving forward. What is it? And what does it look like if you're a part of the tracing process? Is it the key to getting Michigan open? It's today on Flashpoint. Well, testing, testing, testing. It has been the mantra for so many since the coronavirus first appeared. It gets complicated. I want to start this morning with the idea of contact tracing, which will be the next step if we can get enough testing. Josh Petrie is in the epidemiology department at the University of Michigan, and he is a contact tracing specialist. Josh, really appreciate your time today. I want to start with where you think we are on the testing conundrum. We have all been saying since the beginning, we got to be able to test, we got to be able to test. And yet, we've also come to realize that a test is really only as good as the moment that you take it. And then everybody almost needs to be tested every day, don't they? Where are we on testing, do you think, and our understanding of it?
So our ability to test has really improved over time. We're not quite to the point where we want to be, but it's definitely improved. We've gone from where only people who are hospitalized and those at highest risk are being tested. Now we're getting to the point, at least in some areas, where if you have any symptoms, you'll be tested. That's not the case in every area of Michigan, and I know the state of Michigan is working towards that and having the ability to test more and more people.
With what that moves us into, then once we've got an understanding of where the tests are popping up positive, and then we can start moving into what you specialize in, which is contact tracing. Explain to me what contact tracing is and how you see it working in a pandemic.
Yeah, so contact tracing is really public health detective work, where once you have identified a positive case through testing, you are making contact with them, interviewing them to see who they've had close contact with and the couple days before they got sick up until when you've identified them and they start staying home. So then you'll want to follow up with all of those close contacts to give them information on how they can best prevent spread to others, quarantine at home, and then make sure that they're letting public health officials know if they develop symptoms themselves.
Couple of things here then, because the scenario that you're describing makes a lot of people uncomfortable. There's a big brother aspect to sort of drilling down into somebody's life and all the contacts they make. Are those kind of worries legitimate for people?
I don't know. I think that the public health officials do the best they can to maintain privacy. So when they do make contact with the contacts of a sick individual, they don't reveal who they were contacted, who had the illness. So there is a real effort to maintain privacy. And the goal really is to reduce additional infections. It's not like these data aren't used for other purposes. It's really only to prevent spread of infection.
It can be tough sometimes, I guess, to convince people that there's only benevolence in the data. But I'm curious, as somebody who has studied this and made this your life's work, now that we reach a stage of public health crisis that none of us have really ever seen before. The detective work that you mentioned earlier, is it harder when it's this vast, or is it easier when there's so much of it around?
No, our ability to contact trace definitely gets harder the more cases that are out there, and it also is harder when people are making more contacts, more close contacts. So towards the peak of the coronavirus activity in Michigan, it would have been nearly impossible to trace all contacts. So what we're going to be looking for as cases continue to decrease, we start opening back up more, it's going to be critical that we maintain low levels of cases through contact tracing.
When somebody is asymptomatic and yet is a carrier, which we know is a key problem with this thing, does that change the way that you want to trace them, or are they all the more important for you to trace and follow?
Yeah, there's some key distinctions with asymptomatics. There's a certain proportion that are truly asymptomatic, and then there's some people who can spread the virus before they become symptomatic, so they're pre-symptomatic. And contact tracing definitely is going to look at those people who are pre-symptomatic. They'll look at contacts that they had before they got sick. Finding true asymptomatics, especially without really widespread testing where you could test all contacts, is a lot more difficult.
But to talk a little bit then about the difference between the people who are being tested for having the disease and the antibody test, the people who test positive for having had it. How do you delineate the way that those folks are traced, and is one more critical to you than the other?
Yeah, so the way I would imagine it's happening is going to be primarily based off of the molecular testing to see if you're actively infected with the virus, not necessarily the antibody test. There's a lot of antibody tests that have been developed, but there's been less work to date on actually validating how well all of these tests work. You know, that the Food and Drug Administration has started to crack down on some of these tests. But bottom line is we still don't have great standardized antibody testing right now, and we still don't exactly know how well all these tests work and what it actually means when we find antibodies. So what contact tracing will be based on is testing for if you're actively infected with the virus.
Lastly then, Josh, what I want to ask is if you feel like the way that we all seem to be understanding where we are, whether it feels accurate to you. We wonder whether the death toll has been undercounted. Some people wonder if it's been overcounted. And given the relative lack still of mass testing, do you think we have a great handle on what we're dealing with? Or are we still kind of in the dark?
I still think we are underestimating cases to some degree, especially more early on in the epidemic. We weren't testing more mild cases, and we certainly have seen, I haven't seen Michigan data specifically, but we've seen in other areas where the number of deaths over the past couple of months have been much higher than the number of deaths in previous years, even without confirmed testing. So yeah, we're definitely probably underestimating cases and deaths at this point still.
If we're underestimating the number of cases, though, that's got to be some good news, isn't it? If it's a vastly undercounted, because it would mean that the mortality rate is lower than we expect.
Yeah, the mortality rate probably is lower than if you just take the number of deaths that are reported divided by the number of cases. But even with the additional cases we expect might be out there, it's still quite a bit more serious than other respiratory viruses like influenza.
Well, your work feels like a really critical step in getting Michigan or any place else for that matter moving forward. I really appreciate you spending time with us this morning, and good luck and stay safe, Josh. Thanks very much.
Thanks, you too.
You bet. When we come back, we'll talk with some retailers. How eager are they to get the open sign turned on again? This is Flashpoint on Local 4.